So in case you're still drinking the Kool-Aid on same-sex marriage somehow being a civil rights issue, thus somehow being comparable to blacks and women, because you don't realize what blacks and women are actually more comparable to. In this discussion, let me help you out of your socially brainwashed fog. When people say, gay is the new black, I say, no, albino is the new black. What I mean by this is, in the context of the civil rights discussion, blacks and women have more in common with albinos, midgets, giants, super hairy people, and people born physically disabled, than we do with homosexuals, because what blacks and women have in common is being discriminated against based on how we look. My vagina, boobs and curvy figure are what tell you I'm a woman. My color, curls and facial features are what tell you I'm black. These physically defining features are what we get discriminated for by white male society. That's why women couldn't vote and blacks were enslaved. Because somebody thought they were better than us, and like the narcissistic psychopaths they were, and some still are, Hollywood, they decided that anyone who didn't look like them was subhuman. Albinos, midgets, giants, hairy people and the physically disabled have more in common with blacks and women in the civil rights movement than homosexuals do, because it is their physically defining features that they so superficially get discriminated against for by their ignorant, arrogant, retardedly shallow, sociopathic oppressors. Whereas, homosexuality, which consists of only less than 1% of the entire global population, is a sexual abnormality with no physically defining feature whatsoever. Unlike blacks, women, albinos, midgets, giants, hairy people and the disabled, gays aren't born with any physically defining feature on their outer body that tells you that they are gay. Like incest and polygamy, homosexuality is a sexually abnormal nature and behavior, not a race, not a gender, and not any other physically or visually defined group of people. Even if they were a sexual normality, they still wouldn't have anything to do with blacks and women. Even if they were a higher percentage than blacks and women, it wouldn't matter because how you look has nothing to do with your sexual nature. So you can't even compare heterosexuality to blacks and women because heterosexuality is your sexual nature, not how you look. So they are not the same no matter how you slice it. Sexual nature is behavioral. Visual image is optical. One is felt while one is seen. One is actively enacted, while one is visibly displayed. And the only biggest difference between blacks and women versus the albinos, midgets, giants, hairy people and the disabled is that we blacks and women are a much larger percentage of the global population, and in America, we were either kidnapped, enslaved and murdered for 300 years, or we were handcuffed to the kitchen, raped and not allowed to vote for millenniums. But even despite all that, we blacks and women still have more in common with them in the civil rights context than we do with homosexuality. So if you really just must compare us to somebody, at least compare us to a group of people who get discriminated against based on what they look like, not based on how they feel or what they do, especially if it is abnormal and controversial, but base it on how they look. Because if anything is the new black, then albino is the new black. At least that's a fair comparison.